Um, for some of you, I recognize a number of the names, but some of you, you're new. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Frankie Wood Black. I am the division chair for engineering, physical science, and process technology at Northern Oklahoma College. I teach engineering, physics, and chemistry, so that works out pretty well. This class is a Zoom class, and as such, we are set up to meet each day, Monday through Thursday, even though when you enrolled, it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with Thursday being the laboratory. It's just how we have to put it into the system so that you get your laboratory and your class. This is a laboratory class. And you're going to have lots of fun because this class we do a lot of physics in the real world. And there isn't anything really other than your smartphone that you're going to need and a few odds and ends that you can find around the house to be able to do the labs. For example, you'll need to be able to have a camera, which your smartphone will work for that. We'll have applications and that'll work as well. I was in industry for 30 plus years before I came back to start teaching at Northern. I still do a little bit of industry consulting so that I get out there and find out what's going on in the real world, trying to keep things relevant. But most of you are either doing construction engineering or you are doing medical type activities, like you're headed towards vet school or med school or some other sort of professional school. So if you have questions or you want a specific topic, please let me know. I do have transcription on. So for those of you who like to read closed captions, Zoom works pretty well for me. And if you would like me to upload the transcripts from the videos, I am more than happy to. I try to record all my videos, but sometimes technology gets the better of us and we don't always get it 100% of the time. But I've done this class via Zoom or ITV now for several years, so I have backup lectures and we will actually walk through that. You probably have more video, more links, more anything than you ever want or have to do this. But I know that we all think a little bit differently. And sometimes if I try to explain something, somebody else may explain it in just the right way to make it click for you. So those extra videos are there for you to be able to go, if that one doesn't make sense, then another one might. I do have a YouTube channel that has a number of historic videos. I have sorted them via Physics 2 and Physics 1. But it is a mix of engineering physics versus college physics. The difference being is the math. So if you get into an engineering physics one and you're going, oh, I don't get that math, look at a different one because it's probably an algebra-based one as well. Several of you had me for Physics 1, either this last spring or this past summer. This class works, if you've had me for the Zoom class, it works for pretty much the same. For the new folks, what I do is I do not go through the list and verify who's here for a variety of reasons. I don't want to keep up with it. Some people can actually work together, and I've had 2 or 3 people on the same video. So that is totally fine. I just want to make sure that everybody is getting what they need. So I take attendance in this class by doing weekly surveys and watching, because in the summer class, you're going to be dealing with stuff so quick that if you're not keeping up with your homework, I'm going to know that you're not there because we do a lot of work. I'm pretty flexible in terms of working with everybody, but I am a kind of a stickler for due dates because we just don't have time to let the due date slip. Now, if there's a true emergency or you contact me ahead of time, I can work with you but we just really got to go too fast, especially over the summer, to make anything for slipping on different things. So that's one of the things that's there. If you had me for physics 1, you knew there was a comprehensive exam. You can't avoid it in physics 1. In physics 2, that is not the case because we are going to jump from topic to topic. So you will get exams over those individual topics, and there will not be a comprehensive exam. So in fact, your final exam will only be over optics. So so this class does work a little differently. Also, don't get terribly discouraged if you get into a topic that it's like, okay, this one is beyond me. The next one might be right up your alley. So it just kind of stick with it. Perseverance counts. And I think those of you that have had me before know that that's definitely the case. So any quick questions before I dive in a little bit? Tonight, we're just going to kind of explore, because some of you are new to Blackboard, because the class is a little different. And I'm playing with some things, trying to make it a little easier. One of the things about new Blackboard Ultra is it doesn't let you it only lets you get 3 clicks in, which means things get long on the screen. So any quick questions? All right. So when you get into Blackboard, and hopefully you all have gotten into Blackboard, you're going to see now the little dots here, that will make it your favorite and it'll put it to the top. We will not be using the laboratory, this general physics lab folder, because everybody who's in general physics is in the same laboratory. So there's no reason to have to go back and forth between 2 different Blackboard shells in order to make it work. All the laboratories will be in the lecture 1 itself. But if you want to make it so it comes right on top, just click the star and that'll make it your favorite. So when you get into Blackboard and you'll open it up, I'm going to go ahead and do a student preview so it's going to look like what you all have. You'll see right at the top, you'll get little announcements. So you can flag announcements, you can flag the discussion board, you can get into the grade book. All of those are there, and you can see whether or not you have a message. My recommendation is, if you're trying to get a hold of me fairly quickly, because it is summertime, messages are easier because I check those messages a little more frequently than I check my email. And I know exactly which class you're in. That's another helpful thing about it, because I get something like 250 emails a day. And so it has a tendency to get lost. So if you want to get a hold of me, messages, put it right up front, and the Blackboard system works really, really well for messages. The calendar is a really great feature. It will tell you when things are due on the calendar, but what it won't tell you is, because of how WebAssign is linked, it won't highlight those WebAssign assignments. So WebAssign, you're going to have to go into WebAssign and look at those WebAssign assignments. Now, I started doing it this last semester, or the E6. I ran out of time in the last 2 weeks of the class. But I'm going to show you what I'm trying to do for everybody to help you with kind of a checklist to make sure you're not forgetting something. The way I run each day's class is I separate the videos. I do video editing on the fly. So there's usually a video that's an announcements video. These are the things that are due. This is where you find stuff. Here are the questions that somebody's asked over the last 24 hours. I try to do all those together, and then I try to separate what lecture materials we have for the class. Physics is hard enough. We don't need to make everybody brain dead and watch 2.5 hours of Zoom videos. it's better off to do it. So you guys are really going to direct me. I always will give a summary lecture, but my classroom is really truly flipped. So if you have a question or there's a problem that you need an explanation for, or my lecture video didn't cover it as much as you wanted, email me, send me a message, put it in the weekly survey. And that's how I've added special videos. That's how I've added special topics. That's how I've added special notes, trying to make this easier for everybody. But it is truly a flipped classroom. So you guys can work ahead and get those materials there. But the calendar feature is pretty nice, except WebAssign is not integrated into it as much. So you do have the Zoom link for class. I have a Zoom link for office hours. We aren't going to use a separate Zoom link for the laboratory, but it's a nice place for me to keep it for my 16-week classes. So that's why we do it that way. But those are there. In the course welcome, you've got a little bit of an instructor introduction. I've come out giving you a little bit of my background, all of that, so you can watch it at your leisure. This kind of gives you an introduction again. We're doing this tonight, but just in case, you've got that part there. These are all pretty much helpful hints for you, nothing really specific, but I do have a student contract that I would like you to complete, just to remind folks that, yeah, we're online, and just kind of get a reminder. So you have there, I also have accessibility links. If there's something, if you need some situation comes up, like you want closed captioning, you need a little bit of help with certain things. If there is an issue that we have to take care of, please let me know, because my philosophy is universal design learning, because I read closed captions. I don't have a hearing impairment, but I like to be able to read and see at the same time, and that's better for my learning. So I understand that, and if we build something, it may be helpful for someone else. I do have some academic integrity, and for those of you who are OSU students, this will take you how to forward your NOC email account to your other accounts so that you don't lose the emails. So I do have that in the materials. So that's in that folder. Again, you have, if you need to schedule a meeting with me, this will go to my calendar. I will tell you, summer's a little weird. I try to keep my calendar up, and it turns out I wasn't planning on traveling over the summer, but I will be in Utah in the month of July. So it's going to be nice. I hope it's going to be cooler, but right now they've had a little bit warmer weather. I'm going to be at my son's and up at Weber State, and so it'll be there. So, but if you need to schedule, it goes to my calendar, and we can certainly work something out. And then for helpful hints, so some people don't necessarily know how to use office hours. I do have some office hour hints in there. The syllabus is here. It's pretty much identical for those of you who've had Made for Physics 1. I do have some of the special items in here. I've got the academic integrity, and the big key issue is for your exams. I want a statement of your own work. As professionals, we have to do a statement that this work is, I followed the instructions, I did what I was supposed to do, and we have to certify that. And so I'm having you certify that for your exams. This is not considered an online class, so you do not have to have a proctored exam. I run my PDF exams, and people will tell you I make you reference everything, and I make you a statement of your own work, and some of them you have to go up and look out materials and look up information. So they're more real world exams, they're more detailed, but you've got plenty of time to do them. I do use AI. I use ChatGPT 0, by the way. Been learning how to use that. That's an AI detector. and an AI. And also what's nice about Chat GTP Zero is it also has tools now to help identify hallucinations. So when AI gives you bad information, Chat GTP Zero will actually tell you, no, that reference isn't real. And that's very helpful. So it's actually building out some tools that's really nice. But we will talk about AI tools and where it helps. One of the things that I'm using it for is I will take my videos, my class time videos. I discovered this about halfway through last semester, and I think it really helped folks, where I will put my video out there and AI will develop a summary of my video with timestamps as to where to go find things and gives you a study guide for that video. So I use it to help from that perspective. And I think that's helpful for folks. And I think that really helps to identify and get time in. So that's one thing that's there. That's the statement of just original work. As I have to, because I don't have Blackboard and WebAssign linked, I will actually physically type in your WebAssign grades. And sometimes my fingers are faster than Blackboard. And I might have type in an 8.5 when it should have been 48.5. I will tell you when I have done that so that you have a chance to go and review and make sure that I got the grade into Blackboard correctly. So you get a chance to say, hey, that's not correct. I need to get it fixed. Don't have a problem with that because my fingers, I've been typing for a long time and my fingers go faster than Blackboard does sometimes. But you do have that. But the big key here for everybody is number one, my grading scale is different. I use an 87.5 to 100 as an A. I use 75 to 87.4 as a B. And I use 62.5 to 75 as a C. 30% of your grade is based on homework. 20% of your grade are based on the laboratory assignments. 25% of the grade are based on quizzes, and 25% of the grade is based on exams. And it is a weighted average. I will let you know that I tend to drop 2 laboratories, and I tend to drop at least 1 or 2 homework assignments. And I try to drop at least 1 quiz. So that does help that, we do have life and it is summer and things happen. And so that way people don't get really, don't get too concerned if, oh my gosh, I'm behind or something like that. We just want to press on and move forward. In WebAssign, all my WebAssigns are set up so that there are bonus points for getting your WebAssign done 48 hours in advance of the due date. So there's extra credit built into WebAssign for the whole semester. The reason I do that is, number one, you start diving into your homework a little earlier and it's on a per answer basis. So even if you get that whole question done 48 hours in advance, you get a 10% bonus credit on that. So there's the opportunity to get a lot of extra points ahead of time if you're starting to work. But the other thing is that gets you into your homework, reading the problems, starting to work the problems, and it gives you an opportunity to have dwell time to order to figure it out. Trying to do physics problems 2 hours before they're due is never a good plan. It's not a good plan. It's a recipe for disaster. And you can't ask questions to get there. Now, that being said, here's the deal. I try to make sure, depending on how the WebAssign questions are set up, I try to give you 5 opportunities to get it right. If you miss the first one, double check to make sure it's not a formatting error, double check to make sure you didn't type the calculator right or something along those lines. Try it again. If you miss it the second time and you think it's a formatting error, that's a good time to reach out in WebAssign and say, ask your instructor. But if you miss it 3 times and you know you're stuck, or you know for sure that I thought I figured this out, I can't really figure out what's going on, that's the time to reach out to me and say, I'm having trouble understanding this. Because what happens to us all the time in physics is we get so frustrated or we get so lost that we don't know where we get lost. And so if you've missed it 3 times in WebAssign, that's a good time to reach out and say, I need help with that problem. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb to be able to say, okay, I'm stuck. Use the Ask Your Instructor in WebAssign, because I do track those as well. We'll have at least 3 tests. One is in week 2, one is in week 4, and then your final is going to be strictly over optics. You've got in here kind of the guideline for the labs, and then you have all the other supplemental material. And I've tried to break it out so when you reference something in your laboratories or memos or anything that you're having to reference, please use APA style. And I've given you some of those examples as part of the syllabus, but you don't have to dig it out in the syllabus. It's right there as well. So you have it in separate pieces. So you have that. I do put out my weekly evaluations, and your first weekly evaluation is here. It's 5 questions. You get points for it, easy points. And basically I'm tracking, are you keeping up with the material? Are you having issues? You have any questions? All of that. And that's how I take attendance. So it's quick and easy points that go into the homework. And those are real easy points that are there. Please introduce yourself to the class if you haven't already. Since it's late summer, and this is Physics 2, Physics 2, we're going to cover things like simple harmonic motion, sound, electricity, magnetism, and optics. It's 4th of July, so we got to use 4th of July stuff. So I've put in here the hidden science of fireworks. There's some really cool things: projectile motion, sound, measuring the speed of sound, the speed of light, all those kind of fun things. So you're probably going to see a lot of fireworks stuff because it's fun. And I will be putting those things in there. Your access to your book is through WebAssign. And this is your link to WebAssign so that you can go in there. Please try to get registered pretty quick, because if there's a technical difficulty, we want to get on it really quick, because we've only got 6 weeks and you don't want to get behind just because you're having a technical difficulty in WebAssign. But you'll click on that and that'll take you into WebAssign. There's my Physics 2 YouTube channel. This is how to access past assignments in WebAssign, because that comes in handy later on. In the laboratory resources, I've provided two examples of the memos that I've used that would like you to use. Phyphox is the application that we will be using. We don't do as much video analysis in Physics 2. We will do some simulations that we will use off of the web for certain things. There's some nice electronics kind of lab boards that we'll use, but most everything we're going to be using our cell phone. We're going to be using that, so you have that in there. This is how, for those of you who haven't already figured out how to access Microsoft tools, as students, you can get Microsoft Office and how to access Google Sheets. So I've given you that. Backup for, if you don't like our textbook, there's the OpenStax textbook. And I do like how the OpenStax textbook does some topics over others. So you have link to it, how to graph, the video analysis tool, other references and guides. So there's all kinds of references and guides materials in here. Cam Scanner is a way to generate a PDF using your camera on your phone. If you use your student email to download the app, you do get the free professional version, which is super nice. And I actually ask you to submit your laboratory memos and your exam work as a PDF file, a single PDF file, and your CAM scanner will put it all together. How to save, and this is how to save from MS Word to as an Adobe file. So you've got lots of just extra learning resources and helps that'll help you do through a variety of other things. Some places I have it in more than one place. Under useful tools, I have some other things as well. This is how to have a PDF read aloud to you if you want to do that. If you want to put it together and listen to it in the car while traveling, you can. There's a browser extension for natural readers, so you can do that. And I've got the CAM scanner in a couple of different places. So hopefully those are tools that'll really help you out. And as I said, I try to give you a whole bunch of stuff that really will get you through things and make you allow you to be successful. So what we're going to start with is simple harmonic motion. And what I have done is under the assignments tab, I've created the week 1 plan. And if you open it up, it's a PDF document that you can print out. It's got it grouped by what to do out of WebAssign. Laboratory activities, we've got 3 laboratory activities that we're going to do this week. There's 1 quiz. It's going to be due July 1st. You've got your weekly survey, and then I put the item in here for your exam. Your exam will open on Thursday, but it's going to be due July 1st. So that gets you, so hopefully this will help keep track for some of you that are trying to keep track of what's due because things are in different places. This will I'm hoping this will kind of help. So that's everything that's due. So these 2 have a short turnaround because I'm really trying to make sure that people get into WebAssign and get going there. And then we've got some of our laboratory type activities that we're going to be doing. For those of you who had me for Physics 1, you remember the last laboratory we did before the egg drop was the simple pendulum. This is essentially the exact same laboratory, except I've added a little twist to it where I want you to run it where you do 3 different angles. So those of you who had your graphs upside down or had errors, hopefully you'll get through it this time and it'll come out better, but at least we start out with one that should be fairly simple to get us going and it'll get us out there. The other thing is I'm wanting you to give me 3 examples of simple harmonic motion in your everyday life. And it's creative thinking, and the more creative, there are extra credit points available for that. So, and especially in summertime, it's a lot easier to find some because there's some other ones that are out there. And then we'll talk about the 1/r² activity later on. But that gets, so for those of you who want to start jumping into the laboratories, you can get that going and get those started. So each of the laboratories, I'm going to group it with our material. So these are the details for the laboratories. I've also got the speed of sound laboratory out, but it's going to be due in the middle of next week. So, but it's there and it's available. Everything in this particular section is open. What I'm planning on doing is you have my spring 2025 lectures. So these are lecture materials that were in there for January of 2025. So they're kind of grouped together nicely. These are my historic lectures. And I also have lecture notes for different things that are there. I have some historic PowerPoints. If you learn better by PowerPoint, you have that as well. But as we move through this semester, what I'm going to try and do is group anything that we're using or the one video that I really want you to watch. I'm going to probably put it in the summer 2025 updates and information. all of my videos for this summer class will be put in that summer 25 folder. So that's where when we're done today, this will go up to the cloud, it'll get processed. I'm going to be on campus tomorrow, so it'll probably get uploaded first thing in the morning. I'll get some notes out of it and I will post it there. And I usually send out a post that say the video from the night before has been posted so that everybody has that. Then I have supplemental, all kinds of things. If you're running into a homework problem and you're stuck, check to see that I haven't provided a hint or a help or a special topic on that homework problem. You can find them in either the supplemental information and example problems. You can find them in, I've got all kinds of other places or other resources because sometimes I don't explain it well. So that you've got those out there for different things. So you've got a variety of different pieces for additional resources. I have some gifts for simple harmonic motion. So those are in there and different examples. So you've got a lot of different things that are there. Now, as like I said, I don't expect everybody to watch every video that I have out there because I've got hours of videos out there, hours. But it's I just want to make sure that people have the resources that if they're stuck on something, that you can jump out and get them and get what you need. And then if you're still stuck, again, holler at me, holler at your classmates, because we'll go over it and we'll cover the essentials that you got to have, but there's plenty to go in and dive into being the different parts. So that's kind of how I run the class. And we'll have each topic as we get through to get in there that you have those that are available. And the test, you'll see down here the test, and it'll open on the 26th. So you'll have from the 26th to the 1st to get it done. And so that'll get us there. So questions.
Are there any days that like we are off for like any holidays or anything? Like I know we don't lie on July 4th, but going on into the rest of the semester, are there any other days that we're not gonna have class?
I don't right now. We may not have class on July the 7th, and that just depends on where I'm at.
Okay.
Because I may not be where I'm going to be able to have access. But yeah, this late 6, we should be on the whole time. We don't have a holiday that falls in. Typically, we would have July 4th off, but we don't. July 4th is falling on a Friday.
Okay.
Right, and you will not see the WebAssign assignments on Blackboard. You'll have to go into Cengage to get those, and that will be in there. And the final is structured like the rest of the exams in this one, because what we'll do is all of the exams will be a PDF, and you'll turn in a PDF response. Just that the final in this class will strictly be on optics. So what we're going to end up with is you'll have an exam. Typically in a 16-week class, I do 5 exams in here, but that just doesn't work out for us in the summer. So you'll have one on sound, you'll have one on electricity and magnetism, and you'll have one on optics. I always do circuits as a separate, and it'll just be a homework assignment for us this semester. Just start diving into I would dive in for those. The question was which lectures to start looking. Start following the spring lectures. Introduction to waves, simple harmonic motion would be the first one I would dive into, and just start looking at those from the spring semester. And we'll cover some of that tomorrow when we get together.
I've already started doing some of the homework, like the CP pre-work for chapter 13.
Mhm.
But it's not giving me any extra credit for having it done early. Is it just because I'm 2 days out?
Yeah, yeah, because it's on the 25th, and you're within the 48 hours for those first.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and those are only worth 5 points anyway, so
Okay,
not a whole lot of extra credit on those.
okay, thank you.